I think the eye of the Texas Hotel and Lodging Association, and in full disclosure, they are a lobbyist for the hotels, that the city of Floresville has the lion's share of hotels in Wilson County. And so it would have an effect on our hotels directly, because we have most of them. It's explained that the city of Floresville has 10 hotels, and there are not 10 hotels in all of Wilson County. And so we contacted, I know some of our members contacted the state representative and met with the county, that even though I know they need the funding, that we just thought that it may have an adverse effect to people staying in our hotels at 17%, which is the maximum you can get. And so after negotiations, and other counties, just to let you know, there were a total of 31 counties across the state that were asking for this, but my only concern was 1633. They negotiated to 2%. And so once the legislation passes it, because the county has already passed a resolution to accept the 2%, it would come into law. So I was testified at the Ways and Means Committee in Austin, and the city position was I was neutral. I didn't say I was for it or against it, that we were not going to come in one way or the other if they would get it down to 2%, which we thought was a lot more reasonable. And then I discovered that the other 2%, they're just hanging out there. At some point in time, the city of Floresville can petition to use that if we ever wanted to expand on or had something to do with our event center. But if we had allowed that 2% to be taken up, then it's to perpetuity. But they like to do that a lot, perpetuity, which means forever. And so we didn't want to, so there was another factor, we didn't want to lose that opportunity, whether it be 10 years from now or 20 years from now, to go back and look at that 2% to be able to do that. I understand the judge's position, and I know the mayor had a conversation with the judge, and they need fees, everybody needs money, and obviously it's money, but we didn't want to have an adverse effect. Now, when this was when we were having the boom and our hotels were, going for $130 a night, and, you couldn't get a hotel in Floresville because of all the oil thing, it may have been a different story, but as my mother used to always say, when there's a boom, there's a bust. We're not at 80% occupancy. We're barely over 50% occupancy. And the hotelers, they are opposed to it, but they did not appear to testify. So it looks like it's going to come under Ways and Means and be approved at 2% rather than the 4% initially asked. And because of that, I would ask that you table item number D in reference to that, because we were going to take care of that business last week if we could. So that would be my request on that issue. Are there any questions about the trip to Austin?
Why do you want us to table it if we're against it?
Well, what the resolution would say is that you are not supportive of getting anything.
Because for words.
Yes, I think the whole issue was that they were looking at raising it to 17%. And then the majority would not go to the city, it would go elsewhere. And I think that is what brought up the opposition. And there was, time was of the essence because it was going before the committee and the city needed to do something. But now it's gone through, and I think that the reason, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Turner, but I think that the reason that the city appeared and said they were neutral was because by that point, they had said maybe the 4%, not looking at.
Yes, and speaking to the Texas Hotel Lodging, they said that they felt that that was a reasonable compromise to come to the 2%. Now, what that means is that the county can't come back, that 2% that's left there on the table somewhere, the county can't come back and get that 2%. They're going to be locked in at 2%, so they'll have perpetually 2%. I did some rough numbers, county did some rough numbers, because somebody keeps saying, well, how much did we get? Based on what we did, somewhere, I don't know, somewhere between $48,000 to $50,000 a year on our current occupancy, and that varies how people stay. I mean, when you keep getting those boxing matches, it'll be an addition to them. However, the county has said in their application, they did two things that kind of perked my attention. Was one, that they're asking for the money for historical value to promote tourism to Wilson County. I'm like, okay. And the other one they did was they actually had a flyer from Opry saying, see how the Opry does that and this, that, and so I'm saying, okay, so then you need to put your money where your mouth is and support the Opry as the city of Floresville has supported them. And the same rules apply to them that were applied to us, which you can use it for, okay? So they have an expo now. See, I didn't say show barn. It's an expo now, and so I'm quite sure they'll be making some improvements to their expo. That is a physical charge, and this will come into effect if it passes through legislation, I believe September 1 of 2019.
So just reaffirming that the resolution was, originally the idea was to pass it before the legislature went ahead for it. So it's not needed as of right now, and some of the wording is not exactly what we wanted. That's why it would be tabled tonight,
Exactly, that is totally on point.
if the council so chooses.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then last but not least, as I'm trying to take care of some things that we have made promises on, I'm asking for a date that the council feels comfortable for to have our wonderful garage sale. I have 2 dates on a Saturday. One is May 18th and one is May 25th. So we have some equipment that we want to sell. We have some things that we don't need anymore that we need to be able to sell. And we want to have like an auction kind of thing, something like I'm going to be doing tomorrow, Saturday when I go sign an auction. We're going to have people bid on different things for equipment. Staff can do it, public can do it. We're going to advertise. But I need to be able to ask for what date would you all like to have. Saturday, May 18th or Saturday, May 25th.
Does the council have any?
Do you have an opinion? I don't want to get in trouble. It's not necessarily voted, it's looking for a consensus, because I need to be able to compile this list, have the attorney to make it official, to say, we, officially are disposing of that. You all may have to take action to officially dispose of this list. I just need to know what Saturday would you all lean towards, 18th or 25th.
18th is better for me. There's a Veterans Memorial Day celebration on the 25th.
So is everybody okay with the 18th? I'm sorry, Mayor Pretend you left the room. Are you okay with the 18th being a date for the, you okay?
That's
Okay.
fine. This is,
Is everybody okay? So, I mean, it's just a consensus. Okay, so we'll set up, and then I'll get the list of items to your city attorney. If she has to prepare an ordinance just to say that it's okay to dispose of this thing, and so everybody can, because staff is all, can I buy it? Get away, just like everybody else. And so-
Are you gonna give us a list of what's gonna be, who's gonna determine what's good and what's not?
Well, I'm working with Eli and our mechanic to put
Yeah,
all this
because
stuff.
we might not wanna might not wanna sell some of the stuff.
Well, I'm gonna prepare, Council, I'm gonna prepare a list of things that we are thinking about, staff are thinking about. Run it past the attorney and give it to you all before we make it public. That's why I just needed to know so I can have it for our next meeting
Sure.
before that. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, that's the end of my report. Do you have any questions?
on the 18th?
Yes, ma'am, it's a Saturday. And just so that, it'll be in the paper, but we're gonna have it at our city dump. Over there by Goliad and the store point.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alrighty, moving on to item E, Municipal Court Quarterly Report, Judge Jimenez.
Council, Mayor, we're going to start with last year, January 1st, 2018 to March 31st, 2018. We had a $60,797.10. The total remitted to the state was $16,778.40. For a total collected was $77,575.50. And then this year, the first quarter was $76,437.85. Total remitted to the state was $18,387.52. Total collected was $94,825.37. On the warrants, we started putting that on here. Last year, October the 1st, 2018 to December the 31st, we had 31 payments of $8,431.15. Non-cash, which is community service, jail time, indigency, or dismissed due to lack of evidence, we had $10,000. $171.75. This year on the warrants, we had number of warrants, 137, payments for $25,878.75. Non-cash was $20,630.40. Total collected was $46,509.15.
Excuse me, you don't have the total of, the same from 2018? From January the 1st to March, for the first 3 months?
I've got it in 3-month increments.
Yeah, but you don't have the,
You talking about October the 2018?
no, I'm talking about January the 1st, 2018 to March 31st, 2018.
Yes, ma'am, it says $60,797.10.
No, I mean for the warrants.
Oh, for the warrants?
Uh-huh.
No, see, this was only this quarter and that quarter and, the one from October till,
Is this through the?
I had, the last one that I had read on the warrants was October the 1st to December the 31st of 2018.
Judge, this may be a good time to explain why we're adding the warrants for the new program that we just started last month and this month. Would you like to speak to that?
The night court, Judge, that we've been holding.
The
Night court with the roundup, the
Mhm.
warrant roundup.
We had a total of, the last 3 months, January to March 31st, we had 137 warrants, $25,878.75 in payments. Non-cash was $20,630.40 for a total of $46,509.15.
Mayor, if I may, Mayor, one of the things that's new and the reason why I did ask for the municipal court to put on their warrants was because just recently, we had a warrant roundup. We had 2 in April, and we've had 1 so far, and this month, and 1 more, I think it's coming up on Friday. And so, we want, because we've had a backlog of warrants, we want, and that was one of the things that came before you, Councilman Kim, too. So we wanted to say that here, though, because it's hard when you look at the whole numbers, we want to definitely focus that we are making an aggressive move, and I have to thank the police department as well as the staff and your city attorney. She's been here, and it's been open to 9 o'clock at night, so that we can allow to address the warrants that we have outstanding. There are literally thousands of them. I don't want to have a number, but we're doing a catch-up. One of the numbers that caught my surprise, caught my eye, and I'm quite sure it caught yours, Councilman, is that the attorney has been going through those things. She talks about she's got to get some gloves because some of those boxes are kind of moldy. I'm going back on those cases that are too old for us to actually go back and try to do. So we're trying to clean up that docket. The audit did not have anything from last year, and so hopefully we won't have any going forward. But that's why, Councilman, we haven't been tracking the warrants, but we will track them going forward. Is that right, Monica? We're going to make sure that we track
Yes,
the warrants
and
going
I
forward.
mean, we tried to catch up since I started, August,
Yes.
whatever I started, that was one of the focuses, was to catch up on the warrants. And between me learning, being trained on how to do things, and just focusing on warrants, I think between Lisa and I, up until February, I think it was, when I stopped to get ready for the warrant roundups, because we decided we were going to do 2 a month for the next 2 months until we, I mean, I think we issued somewhere 500 or 600 warrants. And that's not all of them. I still have a lot to catch up. But that's some of them. So that's why we decided to do this. And this is the report that's at the end. And I only did them for the last 2 quarters because that's what's going to give you a more real, because now we have more warrants where we have working with PD. They're going out, they're, trying to find people. We are getting, that way you see that there is some progress. We are collecting on the warrants. They're starting to come in. They're, PD's out there and telling people.
I saw the assistant chief come in, and Perry can probably speak to that, Mike, and they're using what they call double days. And so it is not incurring any overtime, is that right, Chief?
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay, because, I don't like that
So
overtime.
we're going to keep doing it. I think we discussed it once a month, right, Perry?
Yes,
And I'll work with them on getting the list for the guys to go out, and putting them together in areas so they're not chasing around, you know, it's just difficult when you can't skip trace and do things like that to find current addresses. So hopefully now we'll start getting, you know, more information to send them out and they'll, and be able to send letters out, you know, because I got a lot of letters back on the initial warrant that I issued.
Yes.
I didn't have a way to
They moved it
find.
longer there.
Yeah.
So we worked in partner with the police
Yeah.
department. We're gonna continue to do so. I'm then going to bring some things to you next month so that we can get some things long-term, so it's not just a hit or miss type of thing. But we want to make sure that the court and the judge have done a yeoman job moving forward to start this warrant process. And so we will no longer have, 5,000 warrants that haven't been served.
I
That's our
think the
goal.
goal is just to be on a regular,
Well, from
Schedule.
31 to 137, thank y'all so much.
yes. So it's helping to some, to some extent. And we just, have to keep going and see what works, see what we can get out.
And I do want to thank the police department because I know that they've been very motivated on actually going out and serving these warrants.
Yes, they have.
And I know that the staff, basically, you judge and the staff have done a wonderful job. I have to say something nice about you guys, because I know that even Ms. Monica, you went ahead and divided even the warrants according to zip codes, and that really, really helped the police department, because they were able to focus in and know what areas they needed to go to, instead of just doing one area and then running way across town to serve one and then coming back to the
To
same
do the
area.
extra. It makes it easier for them and it helps out.
We all are doing a wonderful job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
And we
you.
got rid of just about, I think, all the
I think
old
we're
court
done.
cases.
We're done with the backlog that you'll see on there, on your report that Henrietta was talking about, the back log of cases. So that number will start dwindling down
And
here
we're
in
not
the next
talking-
month or so.
That is correct. We're not talking about recent cases, Council and Mayor. We're talking about 2008,
2007, they were sitting there
They were
not,
very, very old.
I mean, it was what, 6 boxes? I mean, full of
We found
cases.
one that the current chief signed as an officer.
As a patrol officer.
Right.
And unfortunately, there were a lot of issues with those files, and we're gonna make sure that we don't get into that again.
Right.
Because when you have, the beginning process is you've gotta have a complaint, and it has to be signed, it has to be notarized. And unfortunately, on some of these, we had nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
There was nothing in there. And so you couldn't even go forward with it.
So once she's done with those, then it's my deal to get done with the warrants, and then we should be on a current, just a month. Then everything should flow, as they come due for warrants, we can move on instead of having such a big backlog, and hopefully it works that way.
I think it will.
Great job.
Good job, thank you.
Moving on to item F, our financials for March 2018.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I want to apologize ahead of time for my voice. I'm just barely getting rid of a cold, so if you don't understand, please go ahead and ask me again, and I'll go ahead and repeat it. Okay, the financials for the month of March 2019. General fund revenues collected 2,337,598. Expenses, 2,064,948. So far, we look like we're going in the right direction because we have a surplus of 272,649, and if we continue this way, we will get out of the deficit this year. Water fund, we collected 901,622 of revenues, and we expensed 888,983, giving us a surplus of 12,639. For the sewer, revenues collected 784,175, and expenses were 689,744, giving us a surplus of 94,431. Do you have any questions on the financials?
Why does it have a negative on the 4A and the 4B?
4A, it's always going to be on the minus. because of the fact that they had that big debt, the loan for the building. So they're not making any money enough to operate themselves. So every year, it depends on how much they spend. The deficit goes down or comes up depending on the expenses, but they're always gonna be on the minus. 4B, I really don't know why there's a deficit, but there was a lot of expenses that they have done. For example, they paid the park all at once. You know, the parking lot project, $227,000. And they also paid $50,000 for the park and $50,000 for the civic center, right?
$50,000
For the ADA sidewalks.
Right, and so when you look at it, based on the revenue that they brought in and what was expended, one exceeded the other.
Yeah.
Even though they had this in reserve and they had budgeted those, and a total of $327,000 was there. And so it's budgeted, but you base off A minus B, meaning the revenues minus the expenditures. So you have the
But
funds.
we're not taking out of the reserves, are we?
It's EDC's money that they had budgeted, they had it in their reserves. So they sent us over $50,000 for the maintenance of the parks, $50,000 for the sidewalks that they had agreed to, and then the $227,000 for the parks.
And it's showing on the minus because the expenses, those expenses are treated in the Fund 580 as an expense on this month, but collected sales tax were not $327,000 for that month. We're looking at a monthly basis, so what they collected on revenues, it was a lot less than what they expensed for that month.
Are they taking it out of the revenue, the reserve?
No, ma'am. That's something that was already budgeted.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Any questions by council members?
I would like to continue with the sales tax. For the month of March, the city collected $239,096. The city's portion is $119,548. And for this time, just because you're asking, I'm gonna go down the line on the allocations. For the street maintenance is $29,887.06. For the 4A is $29,887. And for FEDC was $59,774.12. So the revenues are not as big as the expenses for this month. Eventually, it will catch up, okay? On the sales tax for this month, last year, we collected $216,572. That is giving us a 10% increase, and money-wise, it's $22,524. For year-to-date, last year, we had collected $1,117,212. And for this year, year-to-date, it's $1,750,390, giving us a total of 15%. Money-wise is $233,179. We are doing really good on the sales tax, and even the comptroller, the Texas comptroller, had named the city a.
Yes, they have the top 300 cities in the state of Texas, and you can imagine there are quite a few cities in the state of Texas. The city of Floresville made the top 300, and we were 204 to be exact. So we're really excited about collecting our taxes. It is higher. We did not budget for that. We budgeted exactly what we thought the last year. So this increase will definitely help address the deficit because it does go to the general fund.
And it's gonna help everybody across the board, you know, the street maintenance, the 4A, 4B, and the city. Is there any other questions?
Any other questions by council?
This will conclude my presentation, and I would like to go to the next line item, Mayor, if you may. I want to go ahead and call Mr. Victor, Governor.
Victor Quiroga, Specialized Public Finance financial advisor.
Is a financial advisor.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, Ms. Turner, thank you for having me here this evening. For the record, my name is Victor Quiroga, and I've had the honor of representing the city as your financial advisor since 2007. Thank you for allowing me to come and introduce my new firm. I had an opportunity to pursue a new venture with a firm called Specialized Public Finance. Felt after speaking with my wife, we prayed about it, talked about it, we felt it was something that's going to be better for us and our family. And after I show you the information, I hope it'll be also better for the city. I prepared a brief presentation for you to give you an overview of our firm, and it's placed in front of you. And if it's okay, I'll just walk you through that. The first page after the cover sheet, the firm began in 2008, but it began with financial advisors that only do this. We only represent government entities and municipalities and help them and guide them through the financing process. The way our firm is set up, we're a little bit different than a lot of the firms out there in that we're considered an independent firm. What that means is that we don't offer any other banking or insurance products. All we do is financial advisory work. We don't underwrite bonds, we don't do any of that. This area that we're in, financial advisory services, is a specialized field, hence the name Specialized Public Finance. And so this is a well-established firm with many advisors. On average, our advisors have about 22 years of experience in the industry as financial advisor. Currently, before I joined the firm, already represented about 400 government entities throughout the state. And just for reference, I've been doing this about 18 years, so I'm actually one of the younger ones in the firm, and we'll talk about that later. There's folks that are part of this firm that have been in the business for 25 to 33 years. And so I think that's valuable because I get to pick their brains on items relating to city issuances and get their ideas. Since our founding in 2008, we've conducted over 1,300 transactions for a total bond amount of close to $17 billion for our clients. When you compare us against firms that do what we do in addition to other areas such as bond underwriting and banking, we're, in the last 5 years, we're number 2 when you compare us against all the other firms. When you compare us against firms that are structured like us, where we're independent, we've been the number 1 financial advisor in the state of Texas. We are headquartered out of Austin. We do have an office in Dallas and in Amarillo. And my wife wouldn't have it any other way. We're staying in San Antonio. I had the opportunity to open up an office for the firm as a managing director out of San Antonio. So nothing would change from that perspective. If you go to the next page. As an independent firm, this is actually what we believe is an asset to our firm in that we're able, because we don't compete against other firms that also buy bonds and underwrite bonds, we're able to talk to multiple underwriting firms throughout the state to get ideas on market perspectives. Also, number 2, the municipal market is very transparent, and so those 2 screenshots that you see on the right there, that's a Bloomberg machine, and everybody's heard of Bloomberg. It's a financial services media company that provides instant information regarding municipal bonds. But moreover, our firm, on average, does about 145 financial advisory transactions for our clients, and so there's a wide breadth of experience in financial advisory, so because of that activity, we feel we know what the market is doing and what and that helps us guide and structure your goals bonds if you are considering the financing in the future. On the next slide, you can see the financial advisory professionals there. I'm one of 8 financial advisors. We also, and again, I've been doing this 18 years. I started my career in 2001 with a firm called Southwest Securities, and I was with them for 13 years. 5 years ago, I did change firms. The hope is not to come back to you in 5 years and switch again. I believe this is a good opportunity for the long term for us and our clients. We also have a strong quantitative analysis group, and really the most important person to me here is not my name, or really the most important person here is Rachel Reyes. She's been with me for 13 years. She was with me at Southwest Securities and the previous firm as well. And she's important to the team because she has a lot of interface with our clients on an annual basis. Even though you don't issue bonds every year and do finances every year, we are in communication with city staff pretty frequently in that we prepare various state mandatory, federal mandatory reports for the city. And Rachel Reyes is a big part of that, of my team, and is really the MVP of our team.